Welcome to Silver Bar Stacker, folks. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying their day. Well, today we've got a very interesting topic to talk about, and it's inspired by my good friend Silverstruck, who recently uploaded a video as it relates to the oversized 10-ounce Manfred Tordella and Brooks, or MTB, Liberty Trade silver units. Now, these rounds were issued originally in 1-ounce standard production rounds, but there's also other sizes that you may or may not be aware of. Now, if you are a fan of Silverstruck and you have been watching him, and I would say a vast majority of you probably have been following him before you were following me. I know I was following him before I was following me, because in fact I was watching him before I even started a YouTube channel. So he's definitely a wealth of knowledge. Definitely I try to catch every single video that he uploads, because it's always a very, very interesting video. Very informative. And I like informative videos. I like learning about things. And so today we're going to learn a little bit about these Manfred Tordella and Brooks MTB Liberty Trade silver units. Okay, these are 1 ounce and in some cases 5 ounce, as well as the 10 ounces. And so I wanted to start off with the smallest denomination ones. We're going to get to the bigger stuff, and in fact one of the rounds I actually do not have to show. One of these rounds you're going to have to go over right now to my friend Silverstruck's channel and check that out, because he's actually got a 10-ounce business strike non-proof Johnson Matthey 10-ounce MTB Liberty Trade silver round, and that's very, very interesting because I do not even have an example to show you. So we're gonna have to somehow, maybe move this over here and place a picture of the business strike version of the 10-ounce silver round produced by Johnson Matthey that he's got, because that's honestly the only example I've ever seen. I have multiple of these proof all languages rounds, but I do not have any examples of that business strike 10-ounce round. Okay, so that's one interesting thing to know. Perhaps it may be the case that these all language proof 10-ounce rounds are easier to find. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not. I'm just saying that's the only one that I've personally ever seen. So let's back up the truck. Let's stop talking about the 10 ouncers for a moment, and let's start off with the 1 ouncers. Now, I'm very excited to show you the original packaging that these 1 ounce business strike or the standard production MTB Liberty Trade silver rounds were issued in. That would be these little blue things. I don't know what to call them, but essentially they're these little blue holders, and they're issued in these plastic cases, you could call them. And it's very interesting because, for those who don't know, these 1 ounce silver standard production MTB Liberty Trade silver rounds, they were produced both by Engelhard as well as Johnson Matthey. And the easy way to check that, now if you were paying attention to Silverstruck's video, he already told you where to find the Johnson Matthey logo, but in this case this is an Engelhard, and I can tell you that from the original packaging because right here there's an E. But if we flip this 1985 round over, you got an E right over here as well. So this is an indicator. When you see these Statue of Liberty rounds, flip it over, and you'll see that there's an E right there, and that means that this was produced by Engelhard. So this is a Liberty Trade silver unit, and it's actually a 10,000 vintage round produced by Engelhard. So there's only 10,000 of these that exist, and it's really cool to be able to see this with the original packaging. So now in 1985, this is the first year that they made these 1 ounce rounds. In 1985, Johnson Matthey also produced one of these rounds, and we're going to take a look at that here in just a second. But before we do that, let's take a look at this beautiful toner. And this thing is twice as rare as that last round, and immediately you'll see that E, so you're going to realize that, yep, this is another Engelhard round. Alright, SBS, I got it, But in fact, this is a 1986 Centennial round, and look at that crazy toner. It's absolutely gorgeous. Probably my favorite example of this round that I've seen, and that I have. Now when we flip this over, we've got the E logo as well, but this time it's in a little box. So rather than it just being a bare naked E on these 1986 Centennial ones, it's actually going to be kind of like in a box. So if you can see that, great. If you can't, I apologize. It's very, very small. That's an E inside a box there. So this one right here, like I said, is a 5,000 vintage, and this one on the right side is a 10,000 vintage. Okay, both produced by Engelhard. Now when we look at this, let's set these down for a moment and we'll take a look at this. Over here, we've got a Johnson Matthey. So right there on the packaging, it says JM. Don't even need to flip it over on the back when you got the original packaging. Right there it says JM. So that's a Johnson Matthey right there, and this has got some crazy toning as well around the edges, and that typically probably happens because of this holder that's in. Like, look at the craziness on the back there. But over here you got the JM Hammer logo, which is kind of the same thing that you saw in that Business Strike 10-ounce round that Silverstruck was showing. Over there as well, you got the JM Hammer logo on the back. It's a lot easier to see on a 10-ounce round. So this is really cool to be able to see these all with the original packaging. And in fact, I've got a surprise here at the end, which I'm going to save for the end. So be sure to stick around, because we still got some other interesting proof rounds that we got to go through, as well as these oversized rounds. And you know, it's not just Engelhard and Johnson Matthey that had their hands in the MTB Liberty Trade silver rounds. Okay, another big dog was involved in that operation. I would argue that they're the biggest dog of them all. And it's hard to say that, hey, there's a bigger dog than Engelhard or Johnson Matthey, but there is in this case. In this case, we're talking about the big dog known as the Mexican Mint. So when we take a look at this proof round here, and this is in the original box. I think it's probably the original case that this was in. But regardless, this is the original box, Liberty Trade Silver right there. You flip it over here, and you've got Liberty Trade Silver on the inside of the box as well. And here we've got the original COA. OM means the Mexican Mint. That's the Mexican Mint stamp right here. And in fact, this is the COA that was originally issued, in this case, with the proof round. Now in 1986, there was a Centennial proof round, as opposed to the Engelhard produced Centennial round that was made Business Strike in 1986, 5K vintage. The Mexican Mint actually produced the proof round in 1986 for the 1 ouncer. So this is the certificate of authenticity that comes around along with it. MTB on the back. And take a look at this. We flip this over and we've got OM, but it doesn't just say OM. It says OM, and on the bottom it says proof. Okay, so it's extremely proof-like. You've got a lot of frosted elements there. Statue of Liberty is super frosted up there, and this one right here is going to be your Centennial round, produced by the Mexican Mint in the original box with the COA. Now, it's my belief that, I don't know this for sure, but it's my belief that the Mexican Mint probably also made this round here. This is the original assay card, 1986, Centennial again. But in this case, it's a all languages. 1986, kind of like a matte finish, so not really very proofy. But on the back, you've got the all languages reverse, which is something we saw in the 10-ounce variation in Silverstruck's video. And that's going to be different, of course, than your proof, which is just a standard reverse here. So that's very interesting. We've got the all languages reverse here. And the reason I'm saying that I think that this is Mexican Mint produced is only because we've got this 1 ounce round also produced here by the Mexican Mint. Now, when we compare this to the 10-ounce round that Silverstruck was looking at, well, that had an all languages reverse as well, right? And that was Johnson Matthey produced, but remember, that was produced in 1985. Right now, we're looking at a 1986 all languages reverse. You see that? With the original COA 1986, I'm thinking this has got a ribbed edge as well. I'm thinking this one is probably produced by the Mexican Mint, because they probably made the proof and the all languages together. You know, both of the assay cards are kind of on this paper, whereas the assay cards on this, what we're going to look at next, these 1985s, these have kind of like these yellow assay cards. And these ones are actually both going to be JMs, and both of these are made in 1985. So let's take a look at this. Over here on the bottom, we've got a Johnson Matthey proof. So this is going to be a 1 ounce 1985 proof. So this one, instead of it saying OM, this one says JM proof. So it's got the JM Hammer logo on proof. So in 1985, Johnson Matthey actually made the standard proof round. Gets very confusing, right? And in 1986, the Mexican Mint made the standard proof round, the Centennial. Okay, and the COA will look on that, like on that paper. It's got the OM logo on it for the proof round, and it's got the MTB logo on the back, made of paper. This one's also made of paper, but it's like a yellow cardstock almost. And then this one's also made on like a white paper, similar to what you'll see on those Engelhard assay certificates, but this one specifically will say Anchor 1986 on the bottom here, which is different than those standard production assay cards that you will see with that are issued with the Engelhard bars. Okay, now finally over here we got another 1985, super duper toned up around the edges in the original box here again. And we flip this over and we got all languages. How confusing is this? So we've got an all languages, very proofy on the back, and it's very proofy on the front as well. And let's take a look at this closer. We have to investigate further, folks. Look at the crazy, geez Louise, the blue toning is just unbelievable on this round. Unbelievable on this round. Now we flip it over, and yes, sure enough, we've got the JM Hammer logo etched on the side, just like we do on those 10 ouncers, and made in the USA, MTB, and the JM Hammer logo is right there. So this is produced by Johnson Matthey, undoubtedly. The 1985 all languages proof. Also, oh my goodness, very, very bad behavior. Also, the Johnson Matthey proof in 1985. Also, that's it. Also, definitively a Johnson Matthey. So JM definitely had their hands in the 85 proof rounds. There's no question about that, because their name is etched right on the side of them. The Mexican Mint definitely had their hands on the proof round here. That's very definitive right there. Did they have their hands on the 86 all languages? Not 100% positive on that, because it's a ribbed edge. It doesn't have any markings as far as the mint mark. For all we know, Engelhard could have produced this, but no. You know, honestly, it's not a bad assumption to say that Engelhard may have produced this, because truthfully, Engelhard's assay cards would look very similar to that for the 1 ounce bars. So it's really, really, really not a stretch to say that, hey, these were produced by Engelhard. I don't know. You know, we can't say that they were produced by the Mexican Mint, and we also can't say that they were produced by JM. We could maybe deduce that they might have been made by Engelhard, because take a look at this. These are Engelhard assay cards right here for sure. And look at the back here. That's an E right there. This is an Engelhard. So I'm trying to figure something out here while you're trying to figure it out. And right now, I never thought this until this video was live, but I'm almost thinking that it's possible that this one might have been made by Engelhard. But before I started the video, I thought it was made by the Mexican Mint. I definitely don't think it was made by Johnson Matthey. That's one thing I can say, because I feel like JM had their hands on these, and the Mexican Mint must have taken over in '86, or Engelhard and the Mexican Mint split the duties. That could be the case as well. We don't know, but that's something that would be an unknown. And now we got to move on to the oversized rounds. Now I said there was a 5 ouncer here, and we're going to get to that one last. We're going to start with the round that we've already seen. And unfortunately, I don't have the 10-ounce business strike that we had Silverstruck show on his video. So definitely go check out his video so you can check out that beautiful round. But that's the business strike, and that has a ribbed edge, kind of like this has a ribbed edge, right? And how these have ribbed edges. So the 1985 all languages actually is definitively a JM round again, because we look on the side and you've got the JM Hammer logo etched right on the side of the round here. Okay, and what's cool about these rounds, as Silverstruck showed, is that these ones, these all languages ones, they're actually serialized. So here you got an A prefix, and I believe there's an A prefix on all of them. And what I thought we could do is we could take a look at multiple examples and try to deduce, hey, what do we think the mintage might be on these? Now, if we've got a serial number of A1759, I'm willing to bet that there's at least 17 or 1800 of these out there, right? And in fact, it'd be weird for them to have 1800. So maybe we could even round it up to 2. We could say that, hey, maybe this is a 2000 vintage. You know, if I was trying to pretend like I'm all Engelhard and trying to come up with an estimate, and look at all those nasty scratches there. That's so sad. Then I would, I would deduce that, right now, if I had this one example to look at, I don't remember what Silverstruck's serial number was, so that would help us extrapolate a little bit. But based off of this one known example here in my hand, 2000 vintage. You know what I mean? Now let's take a look at this next one here. Over here, we got another all languages, 10-ounce proof. And over here, we got a much lower serial number. This is an A0397. So now we can say, yeah, they definitely had lower serial numbers, so they probably started at 0. We're going down all the way to 397. That's a pretty damn low serial number right there. Okay, so I'm still thinking 2000 vintage. Now over here, we got the original box. It says Liberty. Unfortunately, this doesn't have the plastic on top. It doesn't have the assay card. But, what can you do? You can't win them all. The other 2 rounds didn't have anything with it. So here again, we got the all languages. And when we look at the serial number, A1758. And that seems extremely familiar. What did we look at earlier? A1759. Can you believe it? Can you imagine right here? Can you imagine what has just happened? We have 2 sequential serial 10-ounce rounds. I did not realize I had 2 sequential serial rounds right here. That's crazy. So that's very, very crazy to see not only 2 rounds right here that are so rare together, but also for them to be sequential serials right there. Wow. That really honestly blows me away. I'm in fact going to put this one in here and keep this together as a set. You know what I mean? So let's take a look at the next round here. Now here we got the original plastic, no assay card on this one. No assay card on this. Let's take a look at the serial. Let's take a look at the serial together. A1838. That one's pretty high. A1838. So we're getting higher, but we're still under 2,000. I'm still going to be deducing here that, there's probably 2,000 of these out there. Now let's go ahead and keep our search moving. We've got 2 more to search through. And this one, finally, bingo, we've got the original assay certificate for the 10-ouncer. And let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now, note, we were just trying to extrapolate, hey, maybe, this one's an Engelhard produced round. Well, hey, this is certainly not an Engelhard produced round right here. We know this is a JM produced round, and the assay certificate looks very similar. So, this could have been something that was issued by Manfred, Turdell, and Brooks themselves. I'm not 1,000% sure, actually, on that one. So let's go ahead and take a look here. For that 86 Centennial round, I'm not sure who made that. Not the all languages one. The proof we know, but not the Centennial all languages. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Another all languages variation, A1828. Kind of similar to that last one, 1858, and this one's 1828. So 30 away from each other. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. And let's go ahead and take a look at the last one, folks. We're still deducing here. Maybe this is a 2000 vintage. I mean, wouldn't we all agree with that? Of course, there could be more of them out there, but of course, think about the surviving examples of something like this. I'm not saying that somebody would rush to melt this down or throw it away, but at the end of the day, if there's only 2,000 to start with, after 40 years have passed, some are bound to get lost, melted down, or, misappropriated. And here we've got an A1408, and this tells us absolutely nothing other than, hey, maybe there's 2,000 or so of these out there. So to have so many examples here to look at, it's nice because it helps us find a little bit more definitive information about, hey, what was going on here? Just kind of like we were trying to deduce a little bit what was going on with this 86. We really couldn't figure it out. I mean, I don't think any of us could say, hey, we definitively know who made this thing here. But I'm thinking maybe it was the Mexican Mint. I'm thinking so. Let's take a look here. Here we've got a 1986 10-ounce round, just like that 85. But this is not an all languages reverse. This is just going to be an OM stamp. So this is a Mexican Mint produced 4/9 fine 10-ounce round. And this is, I think, the original plastic that they were issued in, because I've seen multiple examples with this sort of a plastic. So the Mexican Mint, again took over. Took over in 1986, right? So it's my belief that maybe this one is a Mexican Mint produced one, but of course the proof, the 1 ounce proof and the 10 ounce non-proof, see, this doesn't say proof on the back, the 10 ounce non-proof, these are both produced by the Mexican Mint. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this last round here. We've looked at 85 rounds, we've looked at 86 rounds, we haven't looked at any 87 rounds, and this is the only 87 round that I'm aware of. Not a 1 ounce, not a 10 ounce, but in fact a 5 ounce. And this one right here is a proof. As you can see, it's very, very proofy. This is very proofy as well, but it's not marked a proof on the back. So that's interesting to know. It's interesting why they didn't call that a proof. But this is definitely very proofy, 1987 dated. And we flip this over and we see it's Mexican Mint and it's a proof. And what's really, really cool about these is that these ones, while they do have a ribbed edge, just like this 86 round, these ones are actually serialized over here. So on the front, 0459. So again, the same way we did here with the 10 ouncers, let's go ahead and try to deduce how many of these things might be out there. The 87 5 ouncer. Over here we got 459, so as of now I would say, hey, there's at least 500 of these out there. Well, let's see if we can find some higher serial numbers. 1008. Well, I would definitely say that there's more than 1,000 of these out there, for sure. Not less, but probably more, because you got 1008 right over here. Very interesting. And take a look at the toning difference there. And over here, we got a 2027. My goodness. So I would say there's not less than 2,000, but that there's more than 2,000 of these that were originally out there. Now let's take a look at what this final example that we have shows us, and flip it over. 2163. Okay. Now, do I think that there's a 2200 mintage of this? No. I think maybe there might be 2500 mintage, or perhaps more. We're gonna have to wait and see if any more known examples pop up, and the more information we learn from the community and from other examples that we identify, the more information we can get and uncover about the history behind these beautiful MTB Liberty Trade silver rounds. Now, one final surprise I have here, and this is a one-of-a-kind item that I have honestly never seen outside of the example that I have. It's hidden below all three of these original packaging 1 ounce silver rounds, and it's also in the original packaging, and it is just the most funny, quirky thing that I've ever seen, and it's an actual official Liberty Trade silver unit. But in fact, it's not a Liberty Trade silver unit, it's a Liberty Trade bronze unit. And take a look at this. It's got the well-known JCPenney, logo on it, and I cannot imagine what this was produced for, but it is the most funny and quirky thing that I've ever seen. This is an actual round that has been made of bronze and has the 1986 Centennial round, which we know Engelhard produced it for the standard production round, and which we're thinking maybe the Mexican Mint produced for the proof style round. But when it comes down to this one right here, my friend, we don't know who the heck made this. I have no freaking idea who the maker of this round is, but I can tell you, with this original packaging and everything, it is a extremely, extremely unique piece here. So if anybody could tell me who the heck they think made this, because there's no maker mark on it, just got the 1985 copyright, the MTB stamp, and the Liberty Trade, not silver, but bronze. A beautiful round, and it certainly celebrates American style. So I hope you found this extremely extensive and lengthy video helpful. If you're trying to learn a little bit more information about the MTB Liberty Trade silver rounds of any size, this is the video you might want to save and review over and over again, and try to get some more information. Any information that you may have about these rounds would be great. Feel free to drop them in the comments, and go ahead and let me know, what was your favorite piece that you saw out of all of the pieces here, or out of the pieces that you saw on Silverstruck's video, because of course there were some pieces on his video that you were unable to see on my video. Hope you have a good one. Cheers. Oh, and if you haven't had a chance to yet, be sure to check out our social media landing page at solo.to/silverbarstacker. There you can find our direct website link, which is silverbarstacker.com, as well as our links to our other social media channels, such as this very YouTube channel, our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our TikTok page, our Twitter page, and we also have the link to our Whatnot page, which is where we actually run our live auctions and actually also have all of these same SBS drops that we hold. We run those same drops on our Whatnot store, and we also have live auctions happening literally all the time. So the way that you can be notified about those auctions is to be following us there on whatnot.com/user/silverbarstacker. And we hope to see you there, folks. Thank you, and have a great day.